Hey everyone, and welcome back to Terminal Disclosure, the only podcast dedicated to diving deep into the shadowy corners of tech, hacking, and the stories that keep the world on its digital toes. I'm your host, Alex, and if you're new here, buckle up because we don't just scratch the surface, we excavate. Today, we're tackling a topic that's as bizarre as it is concerning: North Korea's infiltration of the remote job market. I know it sounds like the plot of a bad spy movie, but trust me, this is very real, and it has serious implications for businesses, national security, and even your own career. So what exactly are we going to unpack in this episode? Well, first, we'll explore the scope of this infiltration, how North Korean IT workers are posing as regular freelancers, and which companies are being targeted. Then we're going to dive into the why. What's driving North Korea to pull off such an elaborate scheme? Is it just about the money, or is there something more sinister at play? We'll also break down the tactics these workers are using, from fake identities and laptop farms to AI-generated profile photos. Finally, we'll equip you with the knowledge and the tools to protect yourself and your organization. This isn't just about some distant threat, it's about staying safe in a world where the lines between cyber warfare and everyday business are becoming increasingly blurred. So let's get started. Okay, let's start with the big picture. What exactly is North Korea doing in the remote job market? To put it bluntly, they are sending skilled IT workers undercover to secure jobs with companies around the world, primarily in the US but increasingly in Europe and Asia. Now, these aren't your average freelancers. They are highly trained operatives working on behalf of the North Korean regime, and they're doing it for a few key reasons. First, and perhaps most obviously, is revenue generation. North Korea is, shall we say, not exactly swimming in cash. International sanctions have crippled their economy, and they're constantly looking for ways to generate revenue to fund their various programs. By placing IT workers in remote jobs, they can siphon off salaries, sometimes up to $300,000 a year per worker, directly into the regime's coffers. We are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars each year. But it's not just about the money, folks. According to experts like Jamie Collier and Michael Barnhart from Google Threat Intelligence Group, there are dual motivations at play here. It's about fulfilling state objectives and pursuing personal financial gains. This makes these workers particularly dangerous. See, these IT workers aren't just sending money home. They are also gaining access to sensitive data, intellectual property, and even internal systems of the companies they work for. This can be used for espionage, cyber attacks, and even extortion. And that's where things get really interesting or terrifying, depending on your perspective. Now you might be thinking, okay, Alex, this sounds bad, but how are they actually doing this? I mean, surely companies have some kind of screening process. And you'd be right to a degree, but these North Korean IT workers are incredibly sophisticated. They're not just slapping on a fake mustache and hoping for the best. They're creating elaborate personas, complete with fake resumes, online profiles, and even stolen identities. They often operate from China or Russia, using proxy computers and VPNs to hide their true location. And they are getting good at it. In fact, the Justice Department indicted some North Korean nationals and their facilitators that ran from April 2018 through August 2024. During that time, they generated at least $866,255 from just 10 companies. It's estimated they targeted at least 64 U.S. companies overall. One of the key tactics they use is something called laptop farms. These are basically houses or apartments in the U.S. where facilitators, sometimes unwitting, receive laptops from the victim companies. They then install remote access software, allowing the North Korean IT workers to log in and work as if they were located in the US. I mean, you can almost picture it, right? A bunch of laptops humming away in some suburban basement, each one a portal into a different unsuspecting company. And it's not just small businesses that are being targeted. We are talking about Fortune 100 companies, major tech firms, and even organizations involved in critical infrastructure. One U.S. citizen even used 60 stolen identities to facilitate North Korean employment at more than 300 U.S. companies. From October 2020 to October 2023, these workers earned at least $6.8 million. As Charles Carmichael, CTO of Mandiant, put it, every Fortune 100 organization should be thinking about this problem. I couldn't agree more. Now here's where things get a little bit sci-fi. North Korean IT workers are now experimenting with AI to enhance their deception. We are talking about generating fake profile photos, creating deepfakes for video interviews, and using AI writing tools to overcome language barriers. Think about that for a second. You are interviewing someone who looks and sounds like a perfect candidate, but it's all a fabrication, a digital puppet controlled by someone thousands of miles away. And these AI tools are getting more sophisticated every day. They can analyze your company's website, your social media presence, and even your interview style to create a persona that is perfectly tailored to your organization. It's like trying to catch a chameleon in a hall of mirrors. Pretty tough. So to recap, North Korea is using skilled IT workers, elaborate fake identities, laptop farms, and even AI to infiltrate the remote job market, all in the name of generating revenue and stealing valuable information. It's a complex, multifaceted threat that demands a serious response. All right, let's shift gears and talk about the potential consequences of hiring a North Korean IT worker. I mean, beyond the obvious ethical and legal implications, what are the real risks to your organization? Well, first and foremost, there's the risk of espionage. These workers are trained to gather intelligence, and they may be specifically tasked with stealing sensitive information about your company's products, technologies, or even your business strategy. That information could then be used to benefit North Korean industries, or even to give them a competitive edge in the global market. Remember that warship blueprint theft from Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering back in 2016? That's the kind of thing we're talking about here. Then there's the risk of cyberattacks. North Korean hackers have a long and well-documented history of launching sophisticated cyberattacks against governments, businesses, and even critical infrastructure. By gaining access to your internal systems, a North Korean IT worker could potentially plant malware, steal credentials, or even disrupt your operations. I mean, Michael Barnhart from Mandiant put it pretty bluntly when he said that these IT workers could easily receive instructions tomorrow to deploy ransomware and simultaneously disable major organizations all over the US and Europe very quickly if they wanted to. That is a pretty scary thought. And it's not just about external attacks, there's also the risk of insider threats. A North Korean IT worker could intentionally sabotage your systems, delete critical data, or even leak confidential information to the public. I mean, imagine the damage that could be done by someone with access to your source code, your customer database, or your financial records. And let's not forget about extortion. North Korean IT workers have been known to threaten to leak sensitive data unless a ransom is paid. This can be incredibly damaging to your reputation, your finances, and even your legal standing. I mean, who wants to explain to their customers that their personal information has been compromised because you accidentally hired a North Korean spy? Beyond the direct risks to your organization, there are also broader national security considerations. By hiring North Korean IT workers, you are potentially violating international sanctions and contributing to the regime's ability to fund its weapons programs. You are also indirectly supporting a government that has been accused of human rights abuses, cybercrime, and even acts of terrorism. And frankly, that's not a good look for any company. So to sum it up, hiring a North Korean IT worker is like playing Russian roulette with your company's security and reputation. The risks are simply too high to ignore, but what can you do about it? Let's get into it. Okay, so we've established that North Korea's infiltration of the remote job market is a real and serious threat. But what can you do to protect yourself and your organization? Well, the good news is that there are a number of steps you can take to mitigate the risks. Let's start with the hiring process. This is where you need to be extra vigilant. Stringent background checks are absolutely essential. Don't just rely on resumes and cover letters. Verify the candidate's identity, education, and employment history, and be sure to check for any red flags, such as inconsistencies in their application materials or a reluctance to provide references. One of the most effective ways to weed out fake candidates is to require video interviews. This allows you to see the person you're hiring and assess their communication skills and demeanor. Pay attention to their background, their body language, and whether they seem comfortable on camera. Be wary of candidates who are reluctant to turn on their camera or who have poor video quality. And definitely be on the lookout for deepfakes. If something seems off, trust your gut. One of the newest recommendations by security experts is that the company ask the candidate to state the serial number of the laptop out loud during the IT onboarding process. If they can't do that, it's a serious red flag. You should also require notarized proof of identity. This adds an extra layer of verification and makes it more difficult for candidates to use fake or stolen documents. And be sure to verify that the laptop location matches the worker's address. If they are claiming to live in New York but asking you to ship their laptop to North Carolina, that's a major red flag. Once you've hired someone, it's important to implement technical controls to monitor their activity and prevent unauthorized access. Disable remote desktop software, conduct regular checks of open ports across networks, and deploy insider threat monitoring tools. You should also monitor and restrict the use of remote administration tools, VPN tools, and mouse jiggling software. Mouse jiggling software is used to keep a computer awake even when no one is actively using it. Keep an eye out for employees using Astral VPN. All of these are huge red flags. Multi-factor authentication, especially hardware-based, is a must, and don't forget about the human element. Provide awareness and training for your HR teams and IT security personnel to help them spot the warning signs of North Korean infiltration. Teach them how to identify fake resumes, how to conduct effective video interviews, and how to recognize suspicious behavior. Building a security-minded hiring process and culture is crucial. This includes implementing stringent background checks, verifying identities, and continuously monitoring remote workers for anomalies. Finally, it's important to collaborate with information-sharing communities and security vendors. Share your experiences and learn from others. The more we work together, the better we can protect ourselves from this threat. And don't hesitate to reach out to law enforcement if you suspect that you've been targeted. They can provide valuable assistance and help you to recover any losses. So to recap, the key to protecting yourself from North Korea's infiltration of the remote job market is to be vigilant, proactive, and collaborative. Implement stringent hiring practices, use technical controls to monitor activity, provide awareness and training for your employees, and share information with the community. And remember, this isn't just about protecting your company's bottom line. It's about protecting national security, upholding ethical standards, and ensuring that the remote job market remains a safe and productive space for everyone. Okay, let's wrap this up. Alright, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the scope of North Korea's infiltration of the remote job market, the motivations behind it, the tactics they're using, and the steps you can take to protect yourself. The key takeaways here are that this is a real and serious threat, that it's evolving rapidly, and that it requires a multifaceted response. We've seen how North Korea is leveraging remote work to generate revenue for its weapons programs, while simultaneously gaining access to sensitive data and systems, and that is a scary combination. We've also seen how they're using sophisticated tactics, including fake identities, laptop farms, and AI-generated personas, to evade detection, which means companies need to evolve their security measures and implement more stringent hiring practices. Companies need to know this is happening and what steps they can take to verify and validate identity. We covered some of the steps that businesses can implement to combat the fraud, including increased background checks, requiring on-camera interviews, and notarized proof of identity. Also, companies should be verifying that the laptop is at the worker's address, monitor remote administration tools, utilize multi-factor authentication, and monitor for mouse jiggling software. So what are the next steps? Well, for businesses, it's about implementing those security measures, training your employees, and sharing information with the community. For individuals, it's about being aware of the risks and taking steps to protect your own data and identity. As Assistant Attorney General Matthew G. Olson said, this indictment should serve as a stark warning to U.S. businesses that employ remote IT workers of the growing threat from the DPRK and the need to be vigilant in their hiring processes. And of course, for all of us, it's about staying informed and engaged in the conversation about cybersecurity and national security. The world is changing rapidly, and we need to be prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. So that's it for today's episode of Terminal Disclosure. I hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. If you did, please subscribe to the channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. I always love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to check out our other episodes for more deep dives into the world of tech and hacking. And be sure to tune in next time for another thrilling episode of Terminal Disclosure. Until then, stay safe, stay informed, and keep digging. We look forward to seeing you next time.